watch the gymnasts to see the joy on their face or the disappointment on their face, but there are some very serious things which are not very easy to see. Donna Deverona has been with us throughout the trials, trying to put some important aspects of the competition in perspective, and she'll join Kathy Rigby-McCoy right now to do just that. Kathy?
Well, there are an awful lot of talk in gymnastics concerning weight, being in control, and when any of these are out of balance, not only is your career in jeopardy, but also your physical and mental well-being.
I had to have a perfect body for gymnastics. I had to look like the Europeans. I had to do gymnastics like the Europeans, even to the point where I would develop an eating disorder to do it.
From 1979 through 1982, Lucy Collins was one of the very best gymnasts in the country. A four-time member of the U.S. national team and a member of the 1980 Olympic squad. But Lucy was also one of an almost epidemic number of female gymnasts who fell victim to the pressures of competition on the elite level. Lucy was bulimic, one who suffers from an eating disorder which involves recurrent episodes of binging on large quantities of food, usually 2 to 3 times normal amounts, followed by purging, self-induced vomiting, or the use of laxatives or diuretics in order to prevent weight gain. For sufferers of bulimia, the cost of staying thin are high. Repeated bulimic episodes can result in severe depression, the disruption of menstruation, intestinal bleeding, tooth decay, and even heart attacks.
When I get into workouts, I used to be a strong gymnast, and everything's got to be so hard for me.
Because you were weak?
Because I was weak, because I had no protein in my body, and I guess, you know, my body was eating itself.
Estimates vary greatly, but some experts believe that as many as 1 out of every 5 young women in America has experimented or will experiment with some form of bulimic behavior. No one knows for sure, though, because so much of the disease involves secrecy and denial. Most begin as young high school or college-age girls, experiencing difficulties coping with the pressures of growing up, struggling to achieve perfection, and of living in a world in which women are presented and asked to present themselves as objects to be judged by their appearance. For a young gymnast, these pressures are exacerbated by competitions in which their appearances are judged down to the 100th of a point, and where the natural process of growing up can mean the end of a career. For while great athletes come in all shapes and sizes, great gymnasts now come in one size only, small. Gymnasts are not the only athletes to place what can become a deadly premium on staying thin. Divers, swimmers, and skaters are all under constant and extreme pressure to keep their weight below normal levels.
Skaters' eating habits, a lot of them are really screwed up because, you know, they'll end up starving themselves all day because they have to lose that extra 2 pounds to look great in their skating outfit for the competition in 1 week.
Don Peters is the head coach of the U.S. women's gymnastic team. To help his gymnasts maintain control over their eating habits and their lives, for the past 4 years, he and other members of the U.S. Gymnastic Federation have been conducting nutrition education classes designed to educate not only gymnasts, but their parents and other coaches as well. Peters himself learned about eating disorders the hard way, having coached a number of sufferers, including Lucy Collins.
Eating disorders are life-threatening and career-threatening. And if you're contributing to a child developing that kind of problem, that's a form of child abuse.
Obviously, most coaches and parents don't condone this type of behaviors, but we do need to be aware of the warning signs. And some of these are preoccupation with weight, a morbid fear of becoming fat, low self-esteem, hypersensitivity, and mood swings. And Donna, it seems the very thing that makes great women athletes could predispose them to this type of disorder.
Right, and it's a secretive behavior they have, so it's very hard for parents and coaches to detect it. And you know, this intimate, you had the courage to come out and admit that you had it, risking the support of your peer group, which you'd worked so hard to gain. But all of us that have been involved in the elite pressure cooker of sport feel an obligation to look at the pitfalls and talk about creative solutions. So if you have a daughter interested in sports, great. But make sure she understands that how she performs and what level she performs on does not define her identity or her self-worth. Make sure that she's involved in the creative aspect of her training, goal setting, and setting limits. The process of making herself better is the point, not winning or losing. If she's not involved in this process, we've found by study that most likely she will be susceptible to an eating disorder. She may have a difficult time understanding who she is outside of her sport, and will be extremely susceptible to manipulation by others. Her validity as a person is not a question of what she wins, but who she is. Now back to you, Al.
Okay, Donna, we will resume our coverage, our live coverage from the Salt Palace of the Olympic trials in women's gymnastics on ABC's Wide World of Sports in a moment. Rhonda Faehn, another member of the Caroli gymnastic group here. She was 7th after the second rotation, but after the fine performance by Christy Phillips already on the balance beam, she is now pressured to record a 9.25 to move in front of Phillips for 7th place again. And here's what she did on the balance beam just moments ago. And Kathy, she is not what you would consider to be the picture of a gymnast. She is larger, a little bit more muscular, and for her age, just bigger than the other ones.
And she's probably one of the most strong gymnasts in the entire competition. She does have a lot more body to move around, but she does it very well.
She moved to work with Bella 3 years ago, but her family remained in Coon Rapids, Minnesota. She says she doesn't miss all the other things that she's experienced in her life, or has not experienced in her life, like dating and video games and Michael Jackson and who knows what, because she's never done them. Gymnastics is her entire life.
She has always been a focused gymnast, and this is the event that she needed to be most focused on. Concentration. She does her aerial walkover. Actually, that move was done about 15 years ago, but it still is difficult. Whoops. Slight lack of flexibility on that split jump. And as many of the other gymnasts, takes a slight breath before her dismount. Double pike. And she's relieved that that's over with.
That was then, and this is now. The judges rewarded her with a score of 9.588. Okay. She does reclaim 7th place to go back in front of Christy Phillips, and so this battle to see if anyone can catch Melissa Marlowe still continues, but Marlowe continues to remain strong.
Good.
We're going to switch now to the story of